This is more than FD paid. We scooped up a 2J. A 2JZ GE VVTi with a BMW ZF 5-speed from an E46, I assume. Maybe an E36. They're a little different. So yeah, we need an adapter plate and mount, and we'll put it in the IS 300. Hopefully the wiring harness and stock ECUs there. We plug it all up, run this motor, and then we're gonna need a custom drive shaft, some other little bits and bobs, and man, it should be a good testing car.
What do these make like this? Like just like this?
They make pretty good power, man. Like probably 220.
Yeah.
I think my 3-liter BMW motor makes 220 wheel. This will probably make 220 wheel too. Who would have thought that the 2JZ wagon would have been good enough to win the high roller class of the Gambler, which is an unlimited tire spec series? And I couldn't have been happier. The entire event was in the rain, which was both advantageous for us because we were originally just doing the 235 class that Chris runs at the Gambler, and we were able to keep the same Valino 235 on for both classes and still be competitive. So let's talk about everything that I learned from driving that much in the rain. I will say I probably drove more in this one event than I did for the last 3 rounds of Drift Masters. And that's not because I didn't make it that far, because I didn't make it that far in the rounds, but it's because practice in Drift Masters is so short that I did probably 30 to 40 laps in a row in this car, and every single time I was able to refine and perfect the runs to the point where the reason I won the event wasn't because I was the fastest or anything, because this car is heavy, it's got a lot of weight in the rear, and we'll talk about that. It's because I was able to do the same run every single time, never spin, never over rotate, never make any mistakes. And everyone else was kind of making little mistakes here and there, not able to keep consistent with the way it was. And I've also driven that track lots of times. So let's get into what made this car a winning car in a series that pays, for first place, it paid $4,550 US. This is more than FD pays. This is more than a lot of shootouts or other events pay. This is pretty crazy. Everybody is sleeping on the Gambler, because if there was a 32 bracket, this would pay, I believe, 16,000 plus for first place, because they take all of the entry fees, put them all into a pot, first, second, and third gets it. So Chris takes nothing from the high roller class. I am so shocked. This is from 14 drivers. That's how much you get for beating 14 drivers. Like crazy. So if you guys are doing anything next year, do the Gambler and get at this event, because the 235 class pays 4,000, and that class is actually even more competitive, I would say, just because everyone's on the same tire and you can't run away from people. The high roller in the dry could not have used this car. I'll tell you right now, could not have done it. But let's go over it. A couple things that we did, because I was taking this car to DMCC Pro. So we did the fire extinguisher suppression system, we did the intrusion bars, we did the rear steel firewall, which was originally Lexan, we did all this stuff. Basically this car weighs like 3176 or something. We didn't even take the seats out, we didn't do anything like that. That was a bit of a downside in the rain. In the rain, you really want to run the lightest car possible, and know if you put weight in the rear or anything like that, what it does is creates a big pendulum effect. It really just like swings the car and then pulls the front wide. Like it does quite a dramatic thing where when you want to just rotate around the front and go in that direction, you would think the weight would give you more grip, and it does kind of, basically in a straight line. As soon as you start drifting, it slides the rear out to the side. So around outer zone 2, I was having a really hard time keeping proximity, doing every little trick in the handbook, with the tires, the setup, and the driving, and I was still unable to keep like on the door of the car. Shallower line, everything. That is strictly because of the weight of the car and where the weight is. And you can see here, everything that we have here is all behind the rear axle and in the back. This is all still super solid. We've got a bash bar behind here, we've got a jack point. This is heavy, that's heavy, that's heavy. We've got a lot of weight in the back of this thing. And this car actually corner balances at heavier rear. It's like 50.5 rear percent. And then when you put people in, it's like 54% rear. It's crazy. So that's an issue when you're setting up a car drifting in the rain. The other problems I had was I didn't have time or a team to fix these, but the Ackerman was too low. And what low Ackerman does in the rain is it, instead of having Ackerman like this, which is what I would want, it'll keep the car rotating around the front lead wheel, which feels way better. But because my Ackerman was actually like this, more parallel, when I drift, it's not rotating around the front. The rear has so little grip, it's just stepping over. So you guys probably know what I mean when I'm saying that. The car is stepping over instead of rotating. And when you're stepping over instead of rotating, when you're trying to fill a zone, every correction you make moves the car wider and not in the right direction. So I wanted to lower the Ackerman and I just didn't have time to do it. And then something I learned from my own mistake was that we actually didn't have the other Ackerman plates with me because they were in Mike's trailer, which he usually has the car. So I actually got plates from Connor O'Sully, who has the same kit. And I could have got them from Dirk or anyone else there that has our stuff because they're all the same. Needless to say, I didn't have time. I thought driving more would be more beneficial than changing the Ackerman, and that's a really big key that a lot of people should take note of. If you think that you should make small chassis changes and it's gonna sacrifice your practice time, probably a bad idea. Probably keep driving, because I learned how to drive with it quite quickly. Within the next 2 laps, I was like, this is manageable, I can drive with this, no problem. Whereas if I changed it, I would lose the 2 laps, plus I would lose the 2 first laps because now the car is a new setup. So my recommendation there, and probably a good tip in this video, is drive more, do less setup. And I'm gonna kind of leave it there because obviously there's scenarios where you need to change something, but I'm gonna leave it at that. Everyone thought that this was a fully built 2JZ, mostly because of how the limiter behaves and how it shoots flames out of both sides. I wish I had a video of Brian Hopp standing there just going like this because the car is firing flames, front, rear, everywhere. And in the dark, it's just huge orange bursts of light shooting both ways. All of that is from the tune. The Turbo Smart Turbo also is insane. Why does it spool so much just at idle and sounds like some diesel tractors just sitting there chilling? I don't know. The turbo is that sick. It just spools instantly. This is a stock 2JZ and I had no problem with floating, on throttle, off throttle. I didn't have to do any kind of like heel towing or anything crazy to keep the boost up, which normally in rain, a boosted car is quite difficult because if you catch any grip, you fall out of boost, you don't have the torque to recover, but this has the torque. And the flames were firing out of the Turbo Smart wastegate. The turbo was making a ton of boost, and the titanium products from Vibrant. I'm not trying to make this a big ad, I'm just saying that you guys need these parts. The titanium stuff in this car did give us the lighter, cooler look, boost to sealing. All the Van Gen clamps make things really easy to repair. Kudos to those 2 companies, absolutely making this car somewhat of a competition beast. Who would have thought? We're just gonna do more perfecting things this winter on the off season to make this even better. Right now, the only thing that happens to it is it breaks axles, stock axles, which makes sense. So if we can come up with a nice solution that doesn't break the bank, we'll let you guys know, and we're gonna do that. Also, I just ran the comp spec D&D stuff and their stock seats. You didn't need to run a full FIA approved seat for this series, although they may be changing that. So basically what I was running was like anything that anyone can buy, and you can compete at this series. You just need a roll cage. So you can win this much money as long as you put a roll cage, fire extinguisher, basic safety stuff, battery tie down, and you're good to go. We took some good hits with Connor, we took some hits with some other people, door tap and everything. Suspension from FDF is good. Tires, wheels from Kansai are good. All in all, we took home the win. We almost took home the win in the 235 class too, but that would have been just rude if we won both classes. So yeah, thank you for the hospitality, Chris. Everyone needs to go to the Gambler, and that's kind of the overview of this event. What do you want? What? This 2J. Oh, yeah. We scooped up a 2J from Chris Knapp, who had this just chilling with a ZF 5-speed transmission. So we're gonna put this thing in our IS 300 and get that going. That was an automatic IS from Vasily. We're gonna tune that all up, get the IS going as like an NA 2J drift car, kind of like replacing the 350Z, but it's gonna allow us to develop the car fully, drive the car fully, and have a bunch of fun again with a 4-seater, which will be a lot of fun. D&D, hate to tell you, but you're gonna have to send us a couple more seats. We're gonna have to take more people for ride-alongs. So it's an NA 3-liter VVTi. So it's got the smaller connected rods, so we couldn't really boost it unless we upgraded those. But otherwise, the block, the head, everything is usable if we did want to grow with this engine. It's all pretty solid stuff other than the rods. So really happy how things are going. So yeah, today giving you the lowdown, but tomorrow we have a really important Tip Tuesday, which I doubt any of you guys are doing, and all of you should do it. It's been a game changer for me. I've been doing it for the last 2 years consistently, and I'll give you a little hint. Anytime I go back to a track that I've driven before, I have all of the secrets, not all up here, because we are all humans. We can't remember everything. Take note of what I say tomorrow, and we'll see you guys on the Tip Tuesday.